Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is John Adams. It's good to see you. Today we are building an awesome PC. Now for the most part, the people that I recommend build a PC are people who actually enjoy technology. There's a lot of people that can do it because it's not very difficult. Think of it kind of like adult Legos, but if I'm talking to my parents or grandparents, something like that, I'm saying, hey, go buy a MacBook Air. That thing's gonna serve you well. It's gonna work perfect outside the box. But if you like to tinker, if you like technology, if you like to get the most amount of horsepower for your money, building a PC is definitely the way to go. So the parts that I chose today are all about the best bang for buck, giving you an upgrade path and making sure that you don't break the bank completely in the process. Because here's the thing, with PC building, the higher end you go, the less return on investment you have. And so if you can sit somewhere in the middle range like we did today, you're good to go. Now, don't let the amount of products on this table scare you. When you're building a PC, it's straightforward. There's so many incredible build guides. This video is not gonna be a complete build guide, but I am gonna tell you why you would buy a PC with this type of parts. So first off, we have our motherboard, the Aorus Z790. This is a great motherboard. Now, motherboards right now are more expensive than they've ever been. Like, you are literally able to pay $400, $500, $600 for a motherboard. This one was only about $250, so it's kind of sitting at a really solid price point. You got a couple M.2 slots, and so you can kind of fill it with a couple M.2 drives if you want. It also has SATA ports, and for me, it comes with enough USB, both Type-C and Type-A, to kind of get done anything I really need to do. It also has Wi-Fi, which is great. Even though for the most part, I'm always gonna be wired if I can. Now, what this motherboard also allows you to do is have a bit of an upgrade path, because with Intel, they don't upgrade the socket as much as AMD does, so you will have a couple years where this motherboard is gonna be good for you. Next up on the list, DDR5 RAM. Now, what's cool with the Intel platform is you still can run DDR4, so you could find really, cheap kits for, 32 gigs for maybe less than $100. But DDR5, it's the new and better thing. It's faster a little bit. I don't think most people actually notice faster RAM. I've ran systems with slower memory. I've ran systems with faster memory, and overall, I've never really noticed a huge difference. And so DDR5 RAM, you don't need a ton. I've done actually another video with recommendations of RAMs for Mac, but the PC kind of goes along with it, and so I'll kind of connect that down below. I'll make sure there's a link to it. But when you're thinking about RAM, don't overthink it, because you just won't notice it. Next on the list is storage. I have 4 terabytes of NVMe storage. Now, this is one of the things why I recommend for people sometimes to go away from Apple laptops, because everything is soldered onto their chips. You can't upgrade, and you have to get the right amount of storage. And when you're looking at Apple tax, you're probably paying the most for storage. I mean, it's like $600 for like just a few terabytes. And so this is the Samsung 980 Pro and the 970 Pro. Again, most people won't notice a huge difference. There is a big read and write difference, but most people aren't doing huge files. For me, because I do a lot of video files, these are gonna be huge, but man, having 4 terabytes of NVMe storage is awesome. Next, we got the power supply. 1,000 watts. The reason I think if you're gonna do a best bang for buck PC, you need a 1,000 watt power supply is because you want to give yourself an upgrade path. If next year's GPUs come out and they're way more power hungry, you need a solid power supply. So you might as well throw the extra $100 or $200. Don't go for a 650, don't go for an 800, go for a 1,000 watt power supply. The other thing is, when you're using lower wattage, these things are pretty much silent. A lot of them have a no spin fan zone when it's just barely idling. And so I think I would always upgrade the power supply if you can. For cooling, got a bunch of Noctua fans. I pretty much only go with Noctua fans in my builds because I value a quiet PC. I've had other fans, especially when you buy a case, it comes with its own system fans. They never sound good. They're always loud. Just upgrade your fans right off the bat, and you'll be so thankful you did, because your PC will run quiet and it'll be silent. And with that, we also have the NHD15 from Noctua. It's gonna be the absolute top of the line air cooler that you can get. It's not an AIO, obviously. AIOs are water pumps, and they actually have more sound because you have to move the water through in the pump block. And so I actually prefer having just an air cooler, because those fans can be really, really quiet. And so for me, again, I love Noctua. I've used their things. I mean, I've probably built 50 PCs over my lifespan, and I always put Noctua coolers in them. Next, the brains behind all of it, we got our CPU. I've got the 13600K from Intel. The reason I went with the 13600K is because of the number of cores, and it has Intel QuickSync. And so it's got 6 performance cores, 8 high efficiency cores, And so it's 20 threads. So this CPU, for just kind of bang for buck, it is going to be an awesome option, specifically with that Intel QuickSync like I talked about. It's great for when you're doing video editing, and that's kind of my main workflow. And so I love this because it gives me an upgrade path. If I don't find this enough power, I could upgrade to the 13900K. And then the great thing about PCs is when you upgrade something, you now have a new CPU ready for another build, and so it's kind of great to do that. And last but not least, the grand poobah of the whole thing, the RTX 4070 Ti. The RTX 4070 Ti sits in the mid-range, a little bit of the upper mid-range of NVIDIA's 40 series lineup. And the reason I really like this GPU is because I had a 3080 12 gig. This runs a little bit faster, and it was a little bit cheaper because when I bought the 3080, it was when it was the price spikes were so high. And so 4070 Ti gives you some room to upgrade. I could go up to a 4080, 4090 if I wanted to. For what I'm gonna be doing, I think this is more than enough. It's got 12 gigs of VRAM. It'll be fine for gaming. It'll be fine for productivity. And so for me, this is the best bang for buck card right now. And yes, NVIDIA did just launch the 4060 Ti, and it's not that great of a card. It's got less CUDA cores than last year. The pricing on it is not terrible. It's not great, but it's just not that much better than last year's card. And so I would actually rather go for the 3060 Ti and save a little bit of money. So when you're building a PC, you need to have a case. Now for me, because I care about that clean aesthetic, I picked what I think is the best PC case this year. This is the Fractal North case. I think this, if Apple were going to create a PC case, this would be the one. It's got a nice kind of Scandinavian design, in the aesthetics. It looks so good. So with the explanation out of the way, let's get to the build. All right, so the build is finished. It was a great time. It was great to build in the Fractal North. That's what I want to talk about first, is how easy it was to build in that case. Every time I ran into an issue, whether it was plugging in the cables into the motherboard, there's always something that Fractal's thought about before I got to that issue. Particularly for most cases, when you put the motherboard into the case, you have to plug in the power to the CPU. And that's always really difficult. For the Fractal North, you just pop off the top. It's easy and done. Again, I love the clean aesthetic of this PC. It looks amazing. Like, this literally looks like if Apple were going to design a computer, which was an entire PC that wasn't the Mac Pro, because who in their right mind would buy the Mac Pro? This is what it would look like. It's got that awesome Scandinavian design, real wood on it. I love the future of PC cases with how Fractal's doing things. And what's amazing is right now, building a computer is easier than it's ever been. Cases have come a long way with how easy they are to build inside them. And so if you're somebody who likes tinkering around, or you like upgrading, because that's the biggest deal. When you build a PC, your upgrade path can go forever and ever. Maybe next year you won't have enough money to buy a full new laptop. Well, if you want to, you can put in a new CPU, or you can upgrade your GPU, or you can get more RAM. There's just so many possibilities. And for me, the biggest one was storage. When I do video files, or like video projects, they are hundreds of gigs big. And so for me, if I'm gonna buy a MacBook Pro for that kind of storage, man, it's gonna get so expensive over time. And so even with this build, I still have 2 M.2 slots open that I could populate with 4 more terabytes of NVMe storage. That's huge for me. So this build was a huge success, super fun. It is now my editing PC, so I'll be doing all of my editing on that. I do a little bit of gaming, but with 2 kids and a wife, man, I barely have any time. But it's a great build for productivity. It's a great build for gaming if you want to, and it's got a huge upgrade path. All of the parts are gonna be linked down in the description below. Please, if you found this helpful, enjoyable, subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna do more PC builds, more computer reviews in the future. Like this video if you helped it. That always helps YouTube kind of know that it's an okay video to push out to other people. And I'll see you guys in the next one.